My brother, my sister, you thought it was just a smile, a passing moment, a small gesture on a day you were breaking inside. But maybe that smile was seen by the one who never forgets. And maybe that moment you've forgotten is the moment Allah is about to use to forgive everything. A smile is not just manners, it's worship. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something so small yet so heavy in meaning. He said, smiling in the face of your brother is a charity. Subhanallah. He didn't say you need to give gold. He didn't say you need to say long du'as. He didn't even say you need to be wealthy, strong, or perfect. Just a smile from your heart to another heart. And Allah counts it like charity. And you know what that means? It means when you smile at someone with warmth, with sincerity, with goodness in your heart, you are giving them something. Just like when you give food to the hungry or water to the thirsty, your smile feeds someone's soul. It comforts, it softens, it heals. Maybe you pass by a stranger on the street. Maybe you walk past someone in the masjid. Or maybe it's a family member who's been quiet all day. And in that moment, you look at them and you just smile. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what pain they're hiding. You don't know how long they've felt invisible. But that smile you gave, that one moment, it could be the only light they felt that day. And even if they didn't say anything back, even if they didn't notice it outwardly, the angels wrote it because Allah saw it. And what about you? Sometimes you're the one who feels broken. You're tired. You're holding sadness inside that no one sees. You're making dua quietly at night, asking Allah for strength, asking Him to make things easier, asking Him to forgive you. But when you see someone else, you still smile. You still choose kindness. You still try to give peace while you're craving it yourself. That is not weakness. That is not fake. That is strength. That is sincerity. That is a heart that still has light even in its darkest hour. And wallahi, Allah loves that heart. Do you know what that smile becomes? It becomes worship, even though it was silent, even though it lasted only a second. It becomes a form of ibadah. Because you didn't do it for fame. You didn't do it to impress anyone. You did it because you want to be someone who spreads love, not pain. You did it because your heart still believes in mercy. And when you smile with that intention, with that quiet goodness inside, Allah writes it as sadaqah, charity. A beautiful deed that sits on your scale of good, waiting for the day you'll need it most. This is why, my dear brother, my dear sister, you must never say, it's just a smile. Because that's like saying, it's just a drop of water. But a single drop can keep a flower alive. And sometimes your one smile is what keeps someone's heart alive. And what if that one smile is what Allah chooses to forgive you with? What if on the day when every deed will matter, you stand in front of Allah, afraid, uncertain, and the angels bring forward a memory you forgot, a moment you smiled, gently, from your heart, at someone you didn't even know. And Allah says, my servant, you smiled when you were hurting. You gave peace when you needed it yourself. You chose light when the world gave you darkness. And I have accepted that moment as your door to my mercy. Imagine that your smile, that soft, silent, sincere smile became your forgiveness, became your key, became your miracle. You didn't need the world to clap. You didn't need people to see. Because the one who truly matters, He saw it all and He never forgets. So today, even if you have nothing to give, no words, no strength, no grand gesture, then just give a smile from your heart for the sake of Allah. Because maybe that one moment, that simple act of light is what Allah uses to open doors. You've been waiting on for years. And even if the world forgets it tomorrow, Allah never will. Smiling while you're suffering is a sign of strength Allah sees. There's a kind of smile that doesn't come from joy. It comes from pain. You don't smile because life is easy. You smile because you're still holding on. You smile because even though you're tired, you haven't given up on being kind. That smile, the one you give while you're secretly breaking, that's not weakness. That's strength. And Allah sees it because no one else knows how heavy your heart was when you smiled that day. They don't know about the tears you cried the night before. They don't know about the dua you whispered silently, hoping Allah would just send you a sign that He still sees you. And instead of receiving comfort, you gave it. You smiled. You chose beauty when you felt broken. You chose mercy when you were aching. You chose to be a light when all you wanted was someone to light the way for you. And maybe no one thanked you. Maybe no one noticed. Maybe no one even smiled back. But the angels saw, and Allah saw, and they recorded that moment not just as kindness, but as worship. Because when you smile from a place of pain, it's not just a gesture. It's faith. It's sabr. It's a declaration that says, Ya Allah, I'm still trying. I'm still here. I still want to be someone who spreads good, even when I don't feel good. And that is something the Lord of mercy loves deeply. Do you know how many people smile when it's easy? When everything is going well? When they've slept well, earned well, lived well? But when you smile while carrying a heart that feels like it's barely surviving, that's a smile soaked in strength. That's a smile that came with a price. And Allah knows the price you paid for it. And on the day of judgment, when your deeds are placed on the scale, when your mind is racing through regrets, and your soul is wondering if Allah will forgive you, that smile may appear. That one soft, forgotten moment. That second you smiled through your pain, and Allah might say, this is the moment. I saw you choosing good while you were drowning in sadness, and I wrote it down. And today, I reward you for it. Subhanallah, you didn't smile for attention. You didn't smile to impress. You smiled because your heart still wanted to be beautiful, even when the world around you felt ugly. And that is proof that your soul is still alive. Even if you feel numb, even if you feel tired, even if you feel like you've lost too much, that smile proves that Allah hasn't lost you. My brother, my sister, sometimes Allah doesn't test you through failure. He tests you through strength. He lets you feel broken on the inside to see if you'll still give peace to others on the outside. And you did. You gave peace with your smile. You gave love with your expression. You gave warmth even when your own soul felt cold. And that's not just strength. That's a form of silent ibadah. Because smiling in the face of another is a charity. But smiling while your own heart is hurting, that's a sadaqah wrapped in sabr. That's the kind of smile that reaches the heavens. Even when the world turns away, don't ever think that smile went unseen. Allah doesn't overlook sincerity. He doesn't ignore sacrifice. He doesn't miss what everyone else forgot. He sees what you do in private. He sees what it cost you. He sees that you smiled even when no one else was smiling at you. And He will reward you for that. You might not see it today. You might not feel it tomorrow. But one day, you'll understand. You'll look back and realize that smile you gave on that one hard day when your chest was heavy and your soul was drowning. That smile may have been the moment Allah decided, this heart still chooses good, still chooses me, still shines through sadness, and I will carry them from here to Jannah. So even if you're exhausted, even if you're grieving, even if no one checks on you, even if your kindness feels like it's not noticed, know this, that smile was not wasted. It was recorded. It was loved. It was honored. And it might just be the moment that saves your soul. That one smile might be what saves you on the day of judgment. Imagine this moment with me. You are standing alone. The world has ended. The sky has cracked open. The mountains have turned to dust. And every soul is being called one by one to stand before Allah. It's the day of judgment. A day that will feel longer than 1,000 years. A day when every deed, every word, every glance, every choice will be opened like a book that cannot be edited. The Prophet ﷺ told us that the sun will be brought close. People will be sweating, drowning in their fear. Some will be in shade and others will be shaking, waiting to hear their fate. And then your name is called. You step forward, your heart is beating in your chest. You're thinking about your sins, the ones no one knew about, the ones that still make you cry. You're thinking about the moments you were weak, the things you never repented for properly, the times you gave up, the times you thought Allah wouldn't forgive you, and the scale of deeds is placed in front of you. One side for your good, one side for your bad, and it begins. The angels bring forward the prayers you did, the charity you gave, the fasts you completed, but your heart is still scared because deep down you're wondering if it's enough. You remember the days you missed Fajr, the nights you didn't open the Quran, the times you turned to sin instead of Salah, the moments you acted like you didn't care. You feel exposed, you feel ashamed, you're waiting for the scale to tip, and then a moment appears, a moment you forgot, something small, something quiet, a smile, just a smile, a gentle smile you gave someone years ago. You don't even remember who it was. You don't remember their name. You don't remember the moment. But Allah remembers, and He brings that smile forward and places it on your scale, and suddenly it tips. It outweighs the bad. It shines. Because it wasn't just any smile. It was sincere. It was done during a time when you were broken, when you had no energy, when you were hurting inside, but you still gave light to someone else. And Allah in His mercy says, my servant smiled through pain. They gave hope when they needed it most. And I saw that moment. I recorded it. And I loved it. That one smile that you thought was just a passing second becomes your shield, your proof, your forgiveness, your key. My brother, my sister, we live in a world that teaches us to focus only on the big things, big success, big prayers, big charity. But Allah, He is the most just, the most loving. He knows that some of the biggest moments in your life were the smallest acts of sincerity. That one smile might be the reason your record is cleaned. It might be the reason the angels protect you from hellfire. It might be the reason you are admitted into Jannah with no questioning. Because that's how Allah works. He doesn't look at how long it lasted. He looks at what was inside your heart when you did it. You didn't smile for attention. You didn't smile because it was easy. You smiled because you wanted to give. Even when you felt empty, you wanted to be good. Even when the world hadn't been good to you. And Allah saw that. And the angels wrote it. And your soul changed because of it. You might ask, but how could something so small save me? And the answer is simple. Because that small moment held the weight of your sincerity. That smile was your prayer when you couldn't speak, your worship when you were too tired to pray, your act of goodness when your heart was still healing. You smiled and someone felt seen. You smiled and someone felt loved. You smiled and someone who was on the edge took one more step forward instead of giving up. And even if they never told you, Allah knew and He counted it. On the day of judgment, when many people will be looking for just one good deed, You may be the one whose smile comes forward like a glowing star, a moment so light, yet so full of mercy, because it wasn't performed for people, it was performed for Him. And Allah is never unjust. He rewards even the atoms of good. He forgives even mountains of sin when He sees even a seed of sincerity. So don't think you need to be perfect. Don't think Allah needs you to do something grand to forgive you. Sometimes all it takes is one moment, one smile, 1 second, done with a heart that was trembling but still chose hope. So when you walk today and you pass someone and you feel like you have nothing else to offer, offer a smile with love, with sincerity, with the belief that Allah sees it. Because that smile might just be the moment your scale tips in the place you least expect, not in this world, but in the next, where it matters forever. And on that day, when your feet are shaking, when the world is silent, when your soul is waiting for mercy, that smile might appear like light and wrap around you like a shield. And the Lord of the worlds might say, because of this, I have forgiven you. And you will cry, not in fear, but in joy, because something you thought was so small turned out to be the moment that saved your soul. And all you did was smile. Your smile could be someone else's dua being answered. Sometimes you pass someone in the street, a stranger. You don't know their name. You don't know their story. You don't even look twice. But in that one brief moment, you smile. That's it. A simple gesture, a flicker of kindness, a quiet offering of peace from your face to theirs. And then you walk away. No words, no conversation, no realization of what just happened. But somewhere in the unseen, a door opened, because what you didn't know, what only Allah knew, was that this person had been begging Him, not for wealth, not for ease, not even for healing. They were just begging to be seen, to be acknowledged, to feel like they still mattered in a world that had gone silent on them. They said, Ya Allah, I don't even know what to ask for anymore. But please, just let me feel that. You're near. And then you came, you not even realizing it, became the answer to their dua. You didn't preach. You didn't give advice. You didn't even say a word. You just smiled. And that smile reached a heart on the edge of giving up, a heart that had gone numb, a soul that had grown quiet, eyes that had forgotten how to look up with hope. But your smile, it was like a drop of rain on dry earth. It reminded them, you're not invisible. You're not forgotten. Allah still sees you. And He's still sending you signs. You were just going about your day, running errands, lost in your own thoughts, maybe your own sadness. And yet, Allah used you as a vessel of mercy. Do you understand the honor of that? To be someone's sign, to be part of someone's spiritual survival, to be the way Allah whispers, I heard you, I'm still here. That smile, it did more than move your muscles. It moved the heavens. It triggered a response to a call you never heard. But Allah did. And that's not by chance. That's qadr. Sometimes Allah chooses you. Not when you feel strong, not when you feel wise, not when you feel ready, but when you feel like you have nothing to offer. And He still uses you to be the answer to someone else's private pain. Imagine what it would feel like to find out in the hereafter that someone was about to give up on life, about to stop praying, about to fall into sin, about to close the Quran forever. But then they passed by you and your eyes met theirs and you smiled and they paused and something softened inside and they whispered, Ya Allah, was that from you? And Allah smiled upon you in that moment because you gave from your heart even when you didn't know. You see, we often think helping others means saying the right thing, giving big charity, becoming their savior. But Allah doesn't always need big things. Sometimes He needs small hearts to do small deeds with big sincerity. And your smile, that's one of them. Maybe you smiled at a child, and that child went home and told their mother, someone was kind to me today. And that mother, who had been crying all night, felt peace in her heart for the first time in weeks. Or maybe you smiled at a brother who hadn't heard Assalamu alaikum in what felt like forever. And your presence felt like a hug from Allah to his aching chest. And you walked away not knowing what you'd done. But the angels knew, and Allah knew. And the one who made dua, they knew too. This is why you must never hold back kindness when it costs you nothing. Sometimes your smile is the rope Allah sends to someone who's drowning. And because you threw it, Allah might save you too. And sometimes you smile at someone who later becomes a person of strength, of faith, of change. And when they rise in the sight of Allah, their story includes you. Because your smile was the moment that sparked everything. And you may meet them in Jannah and they'll say, you didn't know me, but I remembered you. You were the one who smiled at me that day. And I knew Allah was near. My dear brother, my dear sister, how many people have crossed your path and walked away with a lighter heart because you offered a smile? You don't even remember, but Allah remembers them all. So the next time you feel like you have nothing to offer, remember this. You don't need to have answers. You don't need to fix people. You don't even need to speak. Sometimes you just need to smile sincerely, lovingly, with the intention that it reaches someone's soul and becomes something Allah accepts. Because in that moment, you're not just smiling. You are answering a dua that someone else cried for. And in return, Allah might answer the dua you forgot you even made. Angels record what you forgot. There are moments in your life that you don't even remember anymore. Moments that passed quickly, quietly, with no one watching. No claps, no recognition, no words. Moments where you did something small. You smiled at a stranger. You gave someone your place in line. You picked up something someone dropped. You replied to a message you didn't have energy for, but you did it kindly. You said Jazakallah khair with warmth. You moved your foot so someone could sit next to you in the masjid. You made space. You held back anger. You forgave quietly. And then you forgot. You didn't think it mattered. You didn't mark the date. You didn't tell anyone. But the angels did not forget. And Allah never forgets. You see, we live in a world that teaches us only the big things matter. Only what people see has value. Only what gets likes, applause, acknowledgement is remembered. But in the unseen world, it's the opposite. Allah values the hidden, the small, the sincere, the things no one else claps for, the things no one else knew about, the things you didn't even remember doing. And this is where the angels come in. From the moment you were born, there are two angels assigned to you. One on your right, one on your left. They are not just witnesses. They are record keepers. Every good deed, no matter how small, is written. Even a smile, even a kind thought, even the tear you wiped from someone's cheek when they didn't know you were hurting too. That's written. That's remembered, even if you forgot. And what's more beautiful is that the angel on your right writes the good instantly, immediately, without waiting, because Allah wants it recorded. He wants your good stored. He wants your reward preserved. You might not remember the kindness you gave, but your book remembers. And one day, that book will be opened on a day where everyone is afraid and people will be searching, begging for just one good deed. You may be shown something that makes your heart stop, a small action, a brief moment, a gesture you gave without thinking. And Allah will say, do you remember this, my servant? And you'll say, No, I don't. And he will say, but we remember, and we wrote it, and we accepted it, and we loved it. Subhanallah. The deeds you don't remember doing may be the reason you are saved. The reason your scale tips toward Jannah. The reason you are forgiven. Because Allah is not like people. People forget what you gave them. People overlook what you try to do. They remember your mistakes. They highlight your flaws. They erase your efforts. But Allah remembers what the world erased, even if it was just a second of goodness, even if you didn't say anything, just thought something kind. It's written, it's counted, and that changes everything. You might have smiled at someone and walked away thinking nothing of it. But what if that person was about to take their own life? What if they were on the edge of hopelessness and your one small gesture gave them just enough faith to turn back to Allah and you didn't know? You still don't know, but Allah knows. The angels know, and one day you will know. Or maybe you helped someone at a time when your own life was falling apart and no one knew what you were going through. No one said thank you. No one acknowledged you, but you helped anyway and you moved on, thinking no one saw. But the angels did. They wrote it with ink that doesn't fade, in a book that will never be lost. And Allah was proud of you in that moment. He knew your struggle. He knew the weight on your heart. He knew how hard it was to be kind when you were breaking, and He accepted it. You see, we are so quick to forget our goodness. We remember our sins. We remember our regrets. We remember our failures. But we forget the nights we made dua. We forget the fasts we kept, even when we were tired. We forget the tears we wiped from others' eyes. We forget the strength it took to stay silent when we were angry. We forget the times we chose to walk away from gossip, the times we chose forgiveness instead of revenge, the times we chose to still be soft in a hard world. But Allah doesn't forget, and neither do His angels. So when you feel like your life doesn't matter, when you think your good is too little, when you feel like you're not enough, remember, there is a book that is being written right now, right this second, and it is filled with the things you forgot. Every soft word, every peaceful gesture, every smile, every tiny act of worship that no one else saw, it's there, safe, preserved, waiting to be brought forward. And on the day of judgment, when you're standing in front of Allah, scared, hoping, unsure of your fate, that book will be opened and the pages will glow, and Allah might say, my servant, you forgot this moment, but I didn't. And for this, I forgive you, I raise you, I bring you close. That is the mercy of Allah. That is the reward of the forgotten deeds. That is the power of your sincerity. So don't stop doing good just because it feels small. Don't stop being kind. Just because no one thanks you, don't stop smiling. Just because the world forgot your face. Because while people forget quickly, the angels don't, and Allah never will. You smile and Allah smiles upon you. There are moments in your life when you smile, not because you're happy, but because you want to stay kind. You smile when you're tired. You smile when you're not okay. You smile because your heart still chooses to give light even while it's standing in darkness. And the world may never notice. People may not ask what you're going through. No one may know how hard it was to smile on that day. No one may see the storm behind your eyes or the weight behind your words. But Allah sees. And more than that, Allah smiles upon you. Subhanallah, you chose goodness in a moment where bitterness would have been easier. You chose gentleness when you were silently screaming inside. You chose softness when the world had only shown you harshness. And your Lord, Ar-Rahim, Al-Latif, Al-Shakur was watching. and he loved what he saw. Because that smile, that small moment, was not for people. It was for him. It was a silent act of worship, an invisible sadaqah, a quiet reflection of the faith still burning inside you. That smile said, Ya Allah, I'm hurting, but I still want to do good. Ya Allah, I feel unseen, but I still want to bring light to someone else. Ya Allah, life is heavy, but I still want to choose what you love. And Allah saw that. He saw that you were breaking and you smiled anyway. He saw that your du'as hadn't been answered yet and you still chose sabr. He saw that you had every reason to be cold, but you stayed warm. You had every excuse to be distant, but you stayed soft. You had every reason to turn away, but you turned toward Him instead. And in that moment, He smiled upon you. Subhanallah. The angels looked on and they whispered among themselves, this servant is hurting, but they are still grateful, still kind, still sincere. And your name was mentioned in gatherings of angels you've never seen, in books you've never opened, in a realm you've never visited. Because your smile carried more than your lips. It carried your faith. It carried your strength. It carried the kind of tawakkul, trust in Allah, that makes the heavens shine. You didn't wait to feel good to do good. You didn't wait for the perfect mood. You didn't wait to be celebrated. You just gave what little you had with sincerity. And that's all Allah ever asked for. He doesn't expect perfection. He doesn't demand big things. He just wants your heart, even if it's tired, even if it's broken, even if it's barely holding on. He loves that heart when it still chooses Him, when it still chooses kindness, still chooses beauty, still chooses the sunnah, even when life hasn't been easy. And that smile, that one quiet smile, may be more powerful in the heavens than 1,000 words, because it was real, because it was you still trying, still showing up, still believing that Allah is near. Imagine the smile you gave a child who was feeling lonely at the masjid, the smile you gave your parent when they were feeling guilty for being short with you, the smile you gave your friend when you didn't agree with them, but you loved them anyway, the smile you gave a stranger in pain, even when you were too drained to speak. All of it written, remembered, honored by the Lord of the worlds. And one day you'll see it again. You'll stand in front of Allah and the earth will be silent and the scales will be heavy and your heart will be trembling and you'll wonder, Ya Allah, will you forgive me? Ya Allah, will you still accept me? And then a small light will appear. That smile, the one you forgot, the one you gave when no one was watching, the one that came from a heart full of pain but full of faith. And Allah might say, my servant, you smiled when you were hurting. You smiled when you had nothing else to give. You smiled with sincerity. And I accepted it. I saw it. I loved it. And today, I reward you for it. Subhanallah. That's the mercy of our Rabb. The most gentle, the most merciful. The one who sees what no one else sees. The one who smiles at a servant when the world looks away. So never think your smile is small. Never think you need to wait until you feel strong. Never think kindness only matters when you're at your best. Sometimes Allah is most pleased with you when you're struggling, when you feel unseen, when you feel empty, but you still choose to give something soft. That softness is not weakness. That smile is not meaningless. It may be your loudest form of worship. It may be the reason your heart is healed. It may be the reason your du'as are answered. It may be the reason Allah forgives you for things you've long forgotten. And it may be the reason that Allah smiles upon you again. So tonight, if your chest is heavy, but someone passes by you, smile with love, with sincerity, with a heart that still believes in His mercy. Because even if no one else sees it, Allah does. And that moment may be the moment He turns your entire story into something you never imagined. And all you did was smile. Some doors only open through sincerity. Sometimes you try everything. You say the dua, you fast, you give, you read, you stay up at night, you cry, you repent, you beg, and still the door doesn't open. The relief doesn't come. The feeling doesn't return. The weight doesn't lift. And you wonder, why is Allah not responding? You start thinking, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe Allah doesn't want to forgive me. Maybe He's angry with me. But what if I told you it's not about how much you're doing, it's about how real your heart is when you do it. You see, some doors don't open with pressure. Some doors don't open with force. Some doors, the sacred ones, only open with sincerity. Because Allah is not moved by performance. He is not impressed by routine. He is not looking for show. He is looking for truth, for purity, for something that comes from the deepest place inside you, the place that's raw, the place that's real, the place that cries even when your face is calm. The heart, and sometimes you do one small act with sincerity so pure that it unlocks something no loud act ever could. Maybe you smiled at someone while your heart was aching and you said Assalamu alaikum with love and you walked away. But the angels wrote it down because that smile wasn't for the world. It was for Allah. Maybe you whispered Astaghfirullah at 3 a.m. while lying in bed. Not out loud, not with drama, just softly from a place of regret. And Allah heard it louder than 100 long du'as because it was real. That's sincerity. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's not always beautiful on the outside. But inside, it's beautiful in a way the heavens understand. And when sincerity appears in your action, even if the action is small, the sky is open. Because the key isn't the act itself, it's the truth behind it. How many people read Quran with no connection? But one person recites just one ayah and Allah melts their heart. How many people pray every day just as a habit? But one person bows in sujood and stays there a little longer, not knowing what to say, but pouring everything in silence. And Allah responds because He loves what is sincere. Even the angels pause when sincerity is present because they know this is a moment that will echo forever. You might spend years doing something, but the moment you do it sincerely, not to be seen, not to be praised, not out of pressure, but because you want Allah to love you, that's the moment everything changes. That's the moment heaven opens. That's the moment the gate that was locked swings open with ease. Not because you tried harder, but because you tried truer. This is why you must never compare your worship to others. You don't know whose small deed reached Allah first. You don't know what tear was most beloved. You don't know whose whisper broke the heavens with its purity. And sometimes you do something for someone else, a simple act of care, and Allah opens a door in your life that nothing else could have unlocked. You gave a ride to someone. You replied to someone who was lonely. You checked on your friend's mother. You helped your father in silence without being asked. You forgave someone who didn't say sorry, and you forgot. You moved on, but Allah didn't forget. Because in that moment, your heart was clean. There was no pride, no showing off. Just you being the version of yourself that Allah already knew was inside you. And Allah loved it, and He stored it, and He chose it to be the reason your next chapter would begin. Some of you are waiting for a job, waiting for healing, waiting for peace, waiting for guidance, waiting for love. And you think maybe it'll come when you do something big. But what if it arrives because of something so small that even you forgot it? Because what made it powerful was not the act itself, but the truth inside it. That's the power of sincerity. It moves what effort can't. It softens what logic can't. It reaches where force fails. And you may never know which moment carried the most weight. You smiled at someone who was crying inside. You said, Alhamdulillah, when your heart felt like it was shattering. You said, I forgive you, when no one else would have. And that moment reached the throne of Allah. And He smiled upon it. And He said to the angels, this is what I love. This is my servant. And I will reward them for it. So don't stop trying. But most of all, don't stop trying sincerely. Don't let your worship become a habit without heart. Don't let your acts become routine without meaning. Don't let your kindness become an empty shell. Before every deed, pause, breathe, close your eyes and say, Ya Allah, I'm doing this for you, no one else, just you. Please accept it. Please love it. That 1 second of intention might be the difference between a deed that's rejected and a deed that changes your life. And if you ever wonder why something hasn't come yet, why a door still feels closed, why you still feel stuck, ask yourself, have I done anything truly sincere lately? Not big, just sincere. And maybe that's the key. Not louder prayer, not longer fasts, but a truer heart. Because sincerity opens what strength can't. And when Allah sees sincerity, He doesn't just open a door, He opens doors you never knew existed. And all it took was a moment, done for Him and no one else. Maybe the smile you gave was the answer you were waiting for. You've been making dua, haven't you? You've been asking Allah for clarity, for change, for healing, for something to shift in your life. You've whispered into your pillow late at night, Ya Allah, give me peace. Ya Allah, show me a way forward. Ya Allah, please don't leave me stuck like this. And still, you feel like nothing's moving. No obvious sign, no big moment, no dramatic answer. Just silence. And in that silence, you wonder, is He ignoring me? Am I not worthy of being answered? Did I mess up too much for Allah to still care? But what if I told you that Allah has been answering you, not with a loud voice, not with flashing lights, but with something simple, so simple you almost missed it? What if the answer was the smile you gave, not the one you received, but the one you offered? You see, when you smiled that day, maybe it wasn't just for them, maybe it was for you. Maybe that smile, that quiet gesture of goodness, was the very answer your soul had been waiting for. Because sometimes Allah doesn't answer your dua with words. He answers it by changing you, by making you softer, more present, more open, more compassionate, more you. And that moment you smiled, it wasn't random. It wasn't nothing. It was growth. It was light. It was proof that something inside you had already healed. You were tired. You were overwhelmed. You didn't feel close to Allah, but still you smiled. You gave someone a moment of peace, even while you were still chasing your own. And that was your answer. Because the old version of you might have stayed quiet, might have looked away, might have ignored, might have withdrawn. But not this time. This time, you smiled from the heart, from a place that still believes. Even if you didn't know what to believe in anymore, that's a sign. That's a response from the heavens. That's Allah showing you you're still alive inside. You're still capable of mercy. You're still a source of light, even while walking through shadows. My brother, my sister, we often think Allah will answer us with something external. A new job, a sudden shift, a dream, a miracle. But sometimes Allah answers you by changing who you are on the inside. He answers by growing your soul before He grows your circumstances. He answers by rewriting your heart before He rewrites your story. And maybe that smile you gave was His way of showing you you're not the same person you were when you made that dua. You're already becoming the version of you that's ready to receive what you asked for. Subhanallah. Imagine that. You didn't hear a voice, you didn't get a sign, but you smiled. You gave, you softened, you healed silently. And in that moment, you became someone worthy of what you've been waiting for. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. And that smile was the proof. Sometimes your answer comes in disguise, not as an open door, but as an open heart, not as a loud shift, but as a gentle softening, not as something new entering your life, but something old being released from it. Pain, resentment, hardness, loneliness. Maybe that smile was the first real proof that Allah already took something heavy from you. And you didn't even notice because you were so busy waiting for a new result. You didn't see the new version of you already walking. And that smile was its first step. How beautiful is that? That your dua might be answered in a moment you didn't even know belonged to you. Not in a masjid, not in sujood, but in a simple second on the street where you smiled at someone and your soul whispered, I still believe in light. Subhanallah, Allah is subtle. He doesn't always send the answer you expect. He sends the answer you need. And sometimes the answer is not a solution. Sometimes the answer is you becoming softer, more sincere, more generous, more connected to Him through the quiet things, a smile, a kind thought, a gentle response.